All right. Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's webinar. Before we get started, just those normal items to take care of. We will have time for questions at the end of the presentation. You can type those in by clicking that Q&A section, or you can throw them in the chat as well. Feel free to chat throughout the webinar too. Share your ideas. I always love that. We will be posting a recording of the webinar on our blog. The link for that will be shown at the end. And if you'd like a PDF copy of the presentation, there will be a link to download that on that same post as the recording on our blog. If your question does not get answered today, or if you think of anything else, please email our support inbox, which will be shown at the end as well. All right, so what is on the agenda for today? Putting yourself first is hard for a lot of people, right? We have others in our lives that sometimes need us, right? Sometimes we feel like we always have that. And we want to be there for our loved ones, and we should be. But when it comes to our health, putting yourself first when you can is not only the right thing to do, but it's the necessary thing to do. If you're not taking care of yourself, eventually you may not be able to take care of others around you. And that goes for both physically and mentally too, right? So for today, the big goal is to find ways to move wellness up, and yourself, honestly, up your own priority list in life. And even more specifically, how we can do that is finding ways to make healthier decisions and actions a part of your daily routine. So to start with, something that I think is very important is starting small, right? I think when people hear someone say that you need to make yourself a priority, we get a little defensive sometimes. People think that this means that they're being told to abandon their families and friends in need, and we should only be focusing on ourselves. That's not what I mean at all, at least in my case, right? This is not about changing your whole life and your whole schedule around and not focusing any of your energy on anything else or anyone else other than yourself. This is about finding small pockets of time in your existing life to create self-care for you. It's about setting a goal of taking a 5 to 10 minute walk after supper. It's about getting off your phone 10 minutes earlier at night so you can get 10 more minutes of sleep. It's swapping out that sugary drink for a glass of water. When we add one tiny component of wellness to our daily lives, that moves us higher up on our own priority list. And it doesn't have to be an hour of exercise every day, right? I just said that. It doesn't have to be eating perfectly. Every day is full of a million different decisions and actions. Each action we take to better our health, each action we make that affects our wellness in a positive way, moves us in the right direction. And the direction is what is important. Okay, you hear the saying that it's about the journey, not the destination, right? To take that a step further, wellness is absolutely a journey, but also it's about the direction and not necessarily the speed of that journey either, right? Slow and steady, small wins are how we want to go about our overall health. So right now, just to get started, start thinking of one small thing in any area of your health that you can add in today or tomorrow or in the next week that will put you in that right direction. Share with everyone. I know you guys are great about chatting, so throw it in there if you want to. Let's get those ideas flowing for today because we're going to build on that for the rest of the time here. So a few things to think about as we are working on this, putting ourselves on that priority list, a few tips and things. So first is prioritizing your day. Now, I want you to do this because we need to have more time to add in some of these great habits, right? So you say, hey, I want to add in that 5 to 10 minute walk after supper, but I don't have time after supper. So I have that meeting to get to. I have my kids' events or whatever it may be. Our lives can be crazy. I absolutely understand that. So what can you do if you don't feel like you have that time to add in those opportunities? I know a lot of you are in this boat. It's probably why you're on the webinar, right? So my first suggestion is to do a time audit. Keep track of some normal days for a week or so, however long you feel like, to get a good feel for the average time you're spending on specific tasks and areas. Now, it's going to be different a little bit every day, right? But to get a general feel, just to be mindful of what you are actually spending your time on. So you can do this manually. There's apps out there that can help. Some phones actually automatically monitor what you do on your devices, which is really nice because I think a lot of us spend a lot of time on our devices, right? So knowledge and awareness are our most valuable assets when it comes to improving time management and finding those small pockets of time we need to incorporate those healthier activities. So once you do that time audit, once you kind of figure out what you're spending your time on, then we analyze that data, right? Depending on what you found when you did that audit, you can start to set some of those small goals. So for example, did you find that you spent an average of 45 minutes on social media that could be cut down to maybe 15 to make room for a nice workout or meditation, something like that? Did you find that you can sneak in some time to meal prep your lunch right after supper? The majority of the time when people do a time audit, they find that, okay, there are some realistic changes that I can make and structure my day, even just a tiny bit better to find that time for everything, including yourself, right? And that's what it's about. It's not about, like I said before, it's not about adding an hour to your day for exercise. Start where you are, look for those small pockets of time and figure out what you want to do with them. And then one note, when you're looking to set some goals right away, be realistic. So for example, let's say you spend 2 hours at night watching TV. It's probably not going to be realistic to say, all right, I'm just going to cut out the TV, right? I'm just going to do all healthy things for that 2 hours. Like any goal, we want to set small goals and work towards that long-term one, right? You can still have your TV time. And for a lot of us, that can be considered self-care and me time as well, right? Watching your favorite show, but maybe we watch 1 episode versus 4 episodes, right? So just take a little bit of that time that you can find in your day to fit in some of those healthy activities. Or maybe you can do it at the same time, right? We talk about watching, you can do squats while you're watching that show, something like that. Again, the goal is to move ourselves up the priority list and finding those small ways to make ourselves healthier mentally and physically are how we're going to do that. So you've got some goals, you know what changes you want to make. The next step might be for you is planning. So my next tip is making a schedule. So this can be for a day, for a week, whatever you're comfortable with and whatever's realistic in your world and your lifestyle. Some of you can plan many days in advance because your days are fairly similar, right? Some of you may only be able to plan the rest of the day today or tomorrow, and that's okay. Like I said, do what works best for you, but having that plan in place can be really helpful. I'll talk more about this as we go along here. Now, there are many tools that can help you plan your day. Your phone or your email will probably have some sort of calendar on it, right? Google Calendar, Apple Calendar, great options. Outlook is what I use at work, for example, couldn't live without it. But if you're a pen or paper type person, there are millions of wonderful physical planners out there for you as well. Christmas presents coming up, right? So the goal here is to plan ahead as much as realistic to remind yourself that your health should be scheduled as much as your meetings, your appointments, any other tasks that you have. Things like exercise, things like meal planning, things like social time with others, or simply quiet time are just as important to your life and deserve to be on that schedule too, right? All right. And then the key to using calendars and schedules effectively is to keep things updated and follow them as much as you can, right? So, but we know that things are going to pop up, but you can also plan for changes and have flexibility in your schedule too. Let's say you want to work out 3 days a week and you're going to say Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Now something comes up and you can't come Wednesday. Are there any other times to get a quick workout in? Maybe it's not the same workout. Maybe it's something different, but is there any quick pocket of time that you can have for a backup and not just exercise, again, any activity? Have those backup times loosely mapped out as well, So again, you're just adding that flexibility so it doesn't stress you out as much when you are missing some of that me time. Because again, life happens, we know things are going to pop up. So do the best that you can. Also, knowing yourself and your typical energy levels is important as well. So if you have a little lull in energy in the afternoons, that could be a great time for a stretching session at your desk, right? To get that blood flowing, get that energy flowing. If you have a lot of energy on Saturday morning, schedule a nice high intensity workout if you can. Just think about those things when you're looking at that schedule to try to find your me time to incorporate those healthy things. We want to set ourselves up for success as much as we can, and thinking about those things will help too. A complementary item to the calendar is to-do lists. And I like these because maybe you don't know exactly what your day will look like, but you know you want to get in something, some sort of self-care at some point. So just for my example, I like to do this with light strength training or body weight exercises. So I'll grab my phone. I just have a notepad app that I can make a checklist on, and I'll put something like 10 push-ups, and I'll have that listed 3 times because I want to do 3 sets of 10 push-ups throughout the day. And then when I find myself with a minute free, I go to my checklist and I say, oh, that's right, I wanted to do some push-ups. So I quick get down, do those 10 push-ups, takes you 10 seconds, check it off, and go about your day. So again, this doesn't have to be exercise. Put a minute of deep breathing on your to-do list, and then have that list somewhere that you can see it and check it off when you're done. Again, small wins add up. Plus, you're going to feel better when you do those things throughout your day too. Your muscles respond, your brain responds to those minutes of either movement or breathing or journaling, whatever it may be. So if you can schedule healthy things, that's fantastic. But a to-do list can help just when you're not sure what your day will bring, but you need those reminders to utilize those small windows of time, because there are a lot of small windows of time that we can take advantage of. And then at the end of your day, if you see you got 2 out of the 3 sets of push-ups done, fantastic. You know what you did. Or you can jump down and do those last 10, which is what I would do. But the point is, we need to keep our health front and center. And that's the struggle, right? That's why we're not on our own priority list. And a schedule and a to-do list can help keep ourselves in our own mind. And then remember, it's about consistency, right? So keep looking for little wins every day. You don't have to do everything every day, but you can do a little bit every day. I just was looking on, speaking of social media and time waster, while I was waiting for this webinar to start, I was looking on my Instagram and I follow James Clear. He's behavioral, small habits. His main book is called Atomic Habits, but he just said something about do 1 push-up if you can't do anything else, do 1 sit-up. It's better to do a little bit of something than nothing at all. I thought that was perfect for the theme today. So something like that hopefully motivates you too. Anything is better than nothing. All right, switch gears a little bit here, just kind of on the same note as planning ahead, because that's really what gives us momentum, right? If we kind of know what to expect and can remind ourselves of it. I want to talk about meal planning specifically too, because we know that healthy nutrition is a huge part of our overall wellness, right? But making healthy eating a priority is very, very hard sometimes. So I just wanted to spend some time specifically on this topic. And one thought before I even dive in, if you're eating out a lot right now, yes, the goal is to cut down and have meals planned ahead so you don't have to do that as much. But if you're in a position, if you're not in a position to cut down on that eating out right now, just look to make one better choice each time you order, right? Grilled instead of fried for a chicken sandwich, water instead of a soda, no fries or less fries. Take the top off of your bun for a sandwich. Add more veggies to a sub. Making your health a priority isn't always about changing your schedule. It can just be about changing your choices within that existing schedule too. So again, start somewhere, do what you can do. But if you are ready for some meal planning and prep, just some things to think about. First, start slow. Shocking, me telling you to take small steps again, I know, right? But seriously, Don't feel like you have to have every single meal planned every week. Start with even one or two, or even start with your snacks and build from there. You'll start to find a routine, and then as you do, you'll be able to add new recipes, more meals, things will fall into place. And then get organized, similar to what I've been talking about. If you can stay organized, meal planning becomes a very streamlined process. So create your schedule first. If you're doing one or two meals, what days are you planning to have those? Or does it matter what days you're going to have those? Look at your schedule. Do you have time to make the meal from start to finish that day? Or would it be easier if you could prep it on the weekend and just heat it up as leftovers? Think about those things and what days are actually going to be realistic to have those at home pre-planned or whatever, even pre-prepped meals. You may not have all the answers to, but plan the best that you can and go from there. So again, some of you may want to fully make those meals ahead of time. And some of you might be able to just have the meal planned and the ingredients bought, but you can do all the preparation that morning or day or night, whatever it is. Think about your own situation and decide what's best for you. And then, okay, we know what meals we want to eat and plan and prep, but what are you going to make, right? So next part is having a recipe database. The fantastic news is that there are literally a million recipes plus online to get you started, or ask some friends and family what they like. Think about different ways that you can find some good, healthy recipes. And then you can make a theme night each night, like Taco Tuesday, to help keep you organized. Once you do have those recipes, save them in a spot where you can access them. You know, we've got old school recipe cards. You can use online tools. Pinterest, I know, is a big one that I use. You know, just keep the resources cleaned up, though, is one thing to keep in mind. I know I'm due for a purge of recipes on my Pinterest that you think you're going to use, but then you didn't. Or you could make a new page with ones that you have tried and you're like, yep, that's going to be in the rotation. So you can move them over so you know that those are tried and true and you're ready to go for those ones. Let's see. And then once you have your recipes, figure out which ones you're going to use for that week and make yourself a grocery list, right? Number one rule before going grocery shopping, always have a list, right? And now that online shopping and delivery or pickup is way easier, it's a very easy way to use those recipes, create your list, and also save time by not actually having to go to the grocery store. So whatever works for you, there's lots of good options out there to make sure that you've got those recipes and ingredients for the week. And then there's different things like batch cooking, right? If you like chicken and are planning to use it multiple meals that week, cook it all up when you're making that first meal. We're looking to cook smarter, not harder, right? So think about that when you're planning your recipes too. What foods can you use multiple days? Another way to think about this is to simply make enough for leftovers. Make enough for supper one night so you can have it for lunch the next day or even supper the next night. I do this when my kids have something or my husband, who has an unpredictable schedule, needs to eat before or after we do. I'll make a casserole on Monday night that we can just heat up on Tuesday or whenever we need to eat. And just so you know, I'm a terrible cook, so if I can do it, you can do it, I promise. Again, when it comes to nutrition specifically, it's about finding a routine, maybe failing a few times on a recipe, but practicing till you get it, and then going from there. Okay. A couple other options, you know, freezer meals are a really good option. It's basically like a TV dinner, but healthier, right? Lots of good options online too. That one too, you can buy in bulk. If something's on sale, cook everything up, throw it in the freezer. You're ready to go for the next 3 months. And then of course, our slow cookers, our pressure cookers, our air fryers, those types of nice things are easy and help us save time. Again, we're not only getting healthier options, but we're also giving ourselves more time throughout the day or the evening to work on some of those other self-care items, right? Again, moving ourselves up by being smart, by planning ahead, by having these tools at our disposal. Or you can leave the cooking up to the professionals and invest in a meal delivery service. Now, this isn't for everyone, depending on what your budget is, but you know, with everything right now, it might be just as cheap depending on where you're going to get it. But there's different options, right? You have ones that have the ingredients sent to you and you can make the meal yourself. There's some that the meal is already put together. You can just pop it in the oven or the microwave. Some places have both. One thing to consider with this is I encourage you to look local because there are a lot of restaurants and businesses that do this for people. And then you can support small business as well at the same time. Bottom line with eating healthier, it's hard. It can be, absolutely. But planning ahead and making a few better choices here and there each day will move that momentum in the right direction. Again, when our overall goal is just to get in the right direction, we're moving ourselves up that priority list, and we'll get there. All right, keep sharing those great nutrition. I'm seeing that at the corner of my eye here. Lots of good stuff. But next, let's talk about creating a healthier environment. So what I mean by this is surrounding yourself with healthy cues and healthy triggers to make healthier decisions. For example, having fruits and veggies visible on the counter or front and center in the fridge. And then on the flip side of that, having your unhealthy foods, ideally you won't have any, but let's be realistic. We know we're going to have some at some point, but putting those unhealthy foods in less visible places, right? So putting snacks and treats in the back of the cupboard or fridge so that you can see the healthier option first. Again, you're not always going to make the best option, but research does show that if we put those healthier things in more visible areas, we're going to choose them more often. It's just how it works. Another thing you can do if you have exercise equipment at home, first, stop using it as a clothes hanger. You know who you are, don't deny it. But seriously, those little things like having to clean off your equipment before using it can make the difference on whether or not you get that quick workout in. And if you're able, have your equipment somewhere that you will see it more often as well. I know storing it in the garage or the basement might help declutter your house, but if it's too cold in the garage, or if you never go in the basement, maybe think about moving it to another room where you might be apt to using it a little more. You can do things like setting out exercise clothes so they're ready to go. You can have your journal right next to your bed or wherever you use it so it prompts you to do some gratefulness journaling, excuse me. And don't forget about the people in your environment as well. I know this isn't as easy to change in some cases, but trying to surround yourself with positive people who promote healthy activity, like the people we're chatting with right now on the chat. You guys are fantastic, and I love all of the things that you're doing. So just giving yourself more exposure to people like that can give you a huge advantage. So just try spending more time with those people in your life if you can. Or even if you can't physically be with them, just communicate with them more often via phone or text or whatever it may be. Get some of those good vibe people in your life, right? Keep sharing this. What am I missing? How can you make healthier things more visible as you keep going? Okay. All right. Last area to touch on here is making it stick. So we all want to be healthy, right? It's not about us not wanting to be healthy. It's about finding realistic ways to execute it. So when you're thinking of ways to put yourself on the priority list, make sure you're thinking long-term to make it stick. A couple things to think about. First, it's focusing on the action versus the result. I just saw someone say something about motivation being the biggest thing, in that it's hard. Motivation is hard and it can wane sometimes. But if you focus on the action or the habit versus the end result, it can help, because when you achieve your goal of doing 10 minutes of walking, that's a win, right? You build that momentum because you're focusing on the achievement of the action and not that 20 pounds that you want to lose that might take a year or longer, because you're not focusing on that long term. It's easier to keep that momentum going, because it's easy to get frustrated, because I know we want the results right now, right? So focusing on the steps versus the end goal helps with things like that. We build habits with daily actions, and our goal is to incorporate healthier habits into our daily lives, right? So it makes sense just to focus on the actions versus long-term. It's important to have long-term goals, don't get me wrong. But when we focus on the small steps, it can be easier to keep going, okay? Other ways to make it stick, probably things that you've heard of before, make it enjoyable, right? Try to find things you actually look forward to throughout your day. It will help keep you consistent. I get not everything will be the best time of your life, but don't do something you absolutely hate. There are plenty of ways to be healthy. Sorry, I just read that. What motivates me to get to the gym is getting away from my kids for a bit. I feel that very much. That is perfect. Whatever reason that you have to do healthier things, use it, right? So do what you can. I love that. And then involve others. I mean, having accountability partners helps keep us in good habits, right? And just like I said already about surrounding yourself with people that will help promote health, it's going to help keep you in a healthier mindset. So do what you need to do. Surround yourself with people. Not just, again, it's not just about accountability, it's about that social aspect of our health too. So if you always go on a walk with the same person and you guys love to chat and all that stuff, that's huge for so many aspects of your health. All right, so much is going on in the chat. I love it. But let's wrap it up here. So if there are questions, either someone else can answer them or I'll answer them. But I'm going to keep it simple to end here. It's not easy to make ourselves in our health a priority. That is a fact. But finding small ways to fit yourself into your schedule each day will help put your health back where it should be, up on that priority list, right? Like I said at the beginning, you need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. That's what it's about. We want to be around others, but we need to take care of ourselves so we can be around for as long as we can to help others. It starts with you. Don't forget that. And you are worth it. Don't forget that either. All right, before we get to questions, just some upcoming webinars. We are already at the end of the year, so January starting over, we have locus of control. How much control do you have over your life? We'll talk about just some ways to change your mindset on that. And then February, fitness at home. It's cold for most of us in February, so we'll talk about just getting active at home, and you guys can share all your fantastic ideas in that month as well. And then lifestyle rewards. If you do have to submit the questions for lifestyle rewards, this is what it will be. This will be on those handouts that you can download the slides as well. So I'm not going to stay on this page for too long. Most of you won't have to answer the questions to get lifestyle rewards, but if you do, these are the questions. And then you can reach out to us. We're on social media. Don't spend too much time on us on social media, but come on, check us out on there. We've got great posts and things. And then you can watch the past webinars, register for the new webinars on our blog, healthcheck.com/blog. And then you can give us a call. You can call our support line, set up a call with a health coach if you would like, or you can email us at healthcoach@healthcheck360.com. That's where you want to go if you do have additional questions after we're done today. So just keep that in mind for the future. All right, I'm going to turn off the recording. But if you do have to take off, have a fantastic day, and I will stay for some questions.